How would you feel watching the greatest three-point shooter of all time waste away his final prime years on a roster that can't compete for a championship? That's the question that should be keeping Golden State Warriors executives awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wrestling with a decision that will echo through the franchise for decades to come. Because the reality is harsh, raw, and utterly undeniable. Stephen Curry is 37 years old, and time doesn't negotiate with anyone in the NBA. Not with legends, not with icons, not even with the man who revolutionized the game itself. It doesn't matter how many regular season wins the Warriors rack up this year. It doesn't matter if they finish with the best record in the Western Conference. What matters, the only thing that matters, is whether they can hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy in June. And with their current roster, forget it. That's not pessimism. That's mathematics. Let's be brutally, unflinchingly honest for a moment. Stephen Curry doesn't have 5 years left. He doesn't have 3. What he has is now. This moment, this window that's closing rapidly like a door slamming shut in a darkened hallway. And every single game that passes without a seismic organizational shift is a game that will never come again. The Warriors roster? Respectable, competent, capable of winning some games in April. But it's not a championship roster. It's not a roster that makes you wake up on a June morning with a championship ring on your finger. It's a roster that makes you wake up in May asking yourself, why didn't we do more? The Dubs are trapped in that agonizing limbo, good enough for the playoffs, not good enough to win when it matters. And in the NBA, good enough is just another way of saying not good enough. So, what do? How do you break this cycle? Well, maybe the answer lies in Milwaukee. Maybe the answer is a name that's been whispered in trade rumors for weeks. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Josh Cornelison from Blue Man, Hoop has laid out a scenario that's simultaneously tantalizing and terrifying for Warriors Nation. Picture this. Golden State trades Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and 5 future first-round picks to the Milwaukee Bucks, while simultaneously sending Draymond Green to the Chicago Bulls to acquire the 2-time MVP himself. On paper, it sounds insane. In reality, it might be exactly what the Warriors need. Think about it for a second. Giannis Antetokounmpo isn't just a good player. He's a near-unstoppable force of nature, a 30-year-old champion who commands double teams, creates for teammates, and seals games when the pressure is suffocating. He's the kind of player who doesn't just elevate a team, he transforms it completely. He rewrites the entire offensive and defensive equation. Now imagine Giannis alongside Curry. Imagine Curry's off-ball movement and three-point range operating in concert with Giannis as an unstoppable offensive engine on the perimeter and in the paint. You're looking at a system that would be absolutely suffocating to defend. Double Giannis? Curry finds open space and drains a 3. Leave Giannis one-on-one? He bulldozes through defenders like they're traffic cones. And here's the thing about Milwaukee right now. The Bucks are in freefall. Milwaukee started the season slowly, and there are credible reports that Giannis is actively reassessing his future with the franchise. He's currently dealing with a calf injury, but make no mistake, the MVP is considering his options, and if there's ever a moment when a disgruntled superstar becomes available, it's now. Here's where this gets emotionally complicated. Here's where Warriors fans are going to struggle with this decision. Here's where hearts collide with logic. Draymond Green is a 4-time NBA champion. He's arguably the best defender of his generation. He's been the glue guy, the enforcer, the voice in the locker room that keeps everyone accountable. In year 14 of his career, Green is still performing at an elite level, embracing his point-forward responsibilities, altering games with his perimeter and interior defense, doing all those little things that don't show up in a box score, but show up in the wins column. Letting him go feels like betrayal. It feels like abandoning a brother who helped build this dynasty from the ground up. It feels wrong on a visceral emotional level. But here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to say out loud. The Warriors already did this with Klay Thompson. They made the difficult decision to move on from another foundational piece, and the timing was right. They recognized that clinging to the past would prevent them from building the future. Now, they're facing a similar crossroads with Green, and the calculus is identical even if the emotional weight feels heavier. Cornelison nailed it in his analysis. Moving on from a four-time champion and the best defender of his generation is not a decision made lightly. It's not, but sometimes the hardest decisions are the most necessary ones. Green is still playing at an elite level. He's still the defensive heartbeat of the Warriors, but he's also aging. And in 2 or 3 years, when he can't do what he does now, the Warriors will be looking backward, wondering why they didn't make this move when they had the chance. They'll be wondering why they chose comfort over championship. Let me be crystal clear about something. This isn't a trade the Warriors make for fun. This isn't a trade they make because it's interesting or creative. This is a trade they make because they recognize a fundamental truth. Curry's championship window is closing, and there's no time to rebuild. Giannis is 30 years old. He's in his prime. He's proven he can win at the highest level. And right now, he's potentially available. You don't let an opportunity like that slip through your fingers. You don't say, maybe in 2 years. You say, how do we make this happen right now? The Warriors have the assets to execute this trade. They have the salary cap flexibility. They have the draft capital. What they don't have is unlimited time. Yes, this trade is risky. Yes, you're breaking up the core that built this dynasty. Yes, you're saying goodbye to one of the greatest defenders ever to play the game. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is watching Curry's championship window slam shut while the front office plays it safe. And that's a tragedy that would haunt this franchise forever. Here's what Warriors executives need to understand. Inaction is a decision. Choosing to do nothing is choosing to let Curry waste his final years on a team that can't compete. It's choosing to let a historic opportunity pass. It's choosing the comfort of familiarity over the boldness of ambition. Dynasties don't die because they try too hard. They die because they don't try hard enough when it matters. The Warriors built this dynasty in 2015 with a bold bet on Curry. They rebuilt it in 2016 by adding Kevin Durant. They kept it alive in 2019 with smart, aggressive moves. Now, in 2025, with Curry in his final championship years, they have the chance to make one last great move. Giannis is that move. This is the moment where organizations either evolve or fade into irrelevance. This is the moment where front offices prove whether they're willing to make the hard calls when it counts. This is the moment that defines legacies. If the Warriors organization truly believes they have a legitimate shot at acquiring Antetokounmpo, refusing to make this trade would be organizational malpractice. Not because the deal is perfect, it's not. Not because moving on from Green won't hurt, it absolutely will. But because the alternative is watching Curry's final championship window close while management plays it safe. That's not how champions operate. That's not how dynasties are built. That's how they die. The Warriors have a choice to make, and it needs to be made before February 5th arrives. The clock is ticking. The window is closing. And Curry's legacy hangs in the balance. This is the conversation that divides entire fan bases. Some of you are thinking, get Giannis at any cost. This is our last real shot at another ring. Others are saying, you can't break up the core that built this dynasty. You can't abandon Draymond. So, where do you stand? Should the Warriors go all in on Giannis and make one final championship push? Or should they stay the course with their current roster and hope for the best? Drop your take in the comments below. And if you're fired up about this debate, if this gets your blood pumping, smash that like button and let's get this conversation trending. Because one thing's for certain, the Warriors' next move will define whether this era ends with a bang or with a whimper. And we want to know what you think about it.